Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we got something kind of interesting. This right here is the Spark EDC Spin. Are you somebody who sits on the couch, opens and closes, fidgets with your knife all day? Well, if you answer yes, this might be a better answer for you. Does your wife give you the snake eye because she hears thwack? Well, stay tuned. We'll see what this one has to offer. So the Spin is a Kickstarter campaign knife, and at the end of this, if you are interested in picking up one of these, I will have it linked down below in the description. When I'm recording this, is July 30th, 2025. If you decide to pick one of these up, today and today only, they will be 39% off for a super early bird. I think the price is like $130 something. So the Spark EDC brand is new. However, the small crew behind it have had over 20 years experience in the industry, so they're no stranger to knives. And it definitely shows here. This is a very compact knife coming in at 6.24 inches long. It has a 2.53 inch drop point. You could probably call it close to a spear point blade. So it's going to be legal in all areas with 3 and under blade laws. And your blade steel on this one is Bowler M390. It has a nice satin finish on it. Top swedge that comes down to thin out that tip some, so you have a good tip for piercing. And this is a nice low tip, and it's a small knife, so it's very easy to manipulate that tip to do very fine, intricate cuts. And we'll check that out in just a minute. You also have some nice fine cut jimping that does a great job of gripping the thumb. Now it's not a long row, but if you choke back right here, you can definitely get your thumb on there. Your blade stock thickness on this one's coming in at 0.126, and you have this flat grind that comes down to around 13 to 14 thousandths behind the edge. Why don't we see what this one can do? I'll be honest, when it comes to these new brands, especially when you come out with a gimmick like on this knife, I don't really expect too much. I'll be perfectly honest, and I know I shouldn't be like that, but that's usually the case. However, I was pleasantly surprised whenever I first started cutting this cardboard on how incredibly sharp this one came out of box. Now, on the latter end of that, sometimes the companies want to make a good first impressions, so they put a lot of effort into it, and then hopefully they just stay like that. But so far it's doing good, and I was really worried that this little gimmicky clicky gear thing was going to be a super hot spot whenever I was doing this. But how my hands sit, I didn't feel that at all. The only thing I did kind of feel is the lock relief just a little bit whenever I was really squeezing hard. But I was just shocked I didn't really feel the gear. If you're, that's what I was expecting. But just look how easily it's going through this 1/2 inch thistle rope. This one was tested with 4 other knives that day, and this one hands down did the best. And look how sharp the blade is. All the other knives had 3.5. One of them had close to a 4-inch blade. I was pretty darn impressed. Of course, hope it makes it all the way to the end like this, but I never felt like it was slowing down in the least. That drop point has got the perfect amount of belly to make this very easy, and it should make dry cuts with that tip very easy. We'll find that out in just a second. But pinch grip's comfortable. You got a decent bit of thickness in the scales. I think that's helping with the ergos for me at least. And I could definitely probably do without the little spin dial, but that's kind of their thing. Trying to make it like a fidgety haptic type thing, and that's fine. We got way too many just plain Jane knives out there, so it's always nice to see something a little different. Showing you can use that tip rather easily to make your fine detailed cuts, and to my surprise, this one never slowed down, not for 1 second. I didn't even check the geometry on it, but it feels like it's nice and thin, or it could just be a screaming sharp edge that did not let up, and made sharp work of the denim, and I was very impressed, especially for their first knife. Great job. Well, I have to be honest, I had my doubts, and I had to eat my words very quickly after seeing how well this one performed. and I expected it to have some ergonomic issues. We'll talk about those in just a second, but let's talk about the deployment and action on this one. So you can see you have that roll around top flipper, front flipper that has perfect jimping there. I mean, perfect. No matter where you grab it from, it grips the finger nicely. You have dual thumb studs that are accessible. So that front flipper, you can do the regular roll around flip, top flip, knuckle roll, however you want to do it. It's very easy and enjoyable to do, and I'm not even a front flipper fan. Thumb studs work great. You can reverse flick off those studs. You can slow roll. Very well tuned detent, riding on cage ceramic bearings and a ceramic detent ball, giving it that nice glassy smooth action. Now let's take a look at this handle. So we have a very steampunk-esque looking frame. You have titanium scales, and then just a lot going on here. This knife's claim to fame is a fidget monster. You got all the fidgetability in your flipping action, and then you have this sprocket looking wheel right here that has a switch. So right now you switch to this way. You get some resistance, and you have like an audible click to it. And then if you want to spin freely, you pull this little button back right here, and you can use it as a fidget spinner. Well, my thought was that whenever I was doing the wood shaving, that it would be very uncomfortable. Because I mean, you can see it sticks up above the scales. Well, whenever I was doing power cutting, I like to choke up. So you got a flat spot up here. I was choked up. That way I got well enough handle there for my medium-sized hands, and I was able to get a lot of force into what I was cutting. And if you look, whenever your hands wrap around, the handle's wide enough that where my hands sit, I don't even feel that. Now, whenever I was pushing really hard, I said it in the video, I could actually feel the relief cut right there a little bit. Not bad. And then a little bit right here where it gets thin. The very top of this right here, you can see you got semi-hard angle right there. Now, it wasn't an issue at all until I started really pushing hard, and that was really pushing into my hand. I was really surprised to see that I didn't feel this at all. So let's close it up, take a closer look at this. That nice grippy jimping. You have a pivot collar, same color is the little wheel. You got all kinds of machining on this tie frame. You got nice rounded chamfers. Look at that. That's what I like to see. Instead of just like a straight chamfer to where you got hard angles, this one's softened all the way around. And you have this little tie piece that holds onto the wheel. I didn't try it, but I'm guessing if you wanted to, you could take this piece off, take this off, remove the disc if you didn't want it there, put this piece back on, and just have an open slot in there. Might look a little funny, but you could do that, I'm sure. Blade centering looks to be right down the pipe. You got a hidden lanyard spot integrated into this tie backspacer. It says Spark on the backspacer. Mill tie pocket clip that has my channel name on there, and a little slot right there for tritium. That edge is far enough away from the back of the scales that it doesn't contact me. And look how thick those tie slabs are. It fills out the hand nicely. It's not overly thick or anything. And you have a different milling pattern on the lock side, hardened stainless steel lock insert, black hardware. You have a Torx T8 pivot. Unfortunately, for all your body screws and clip screws, those are all Torx T6. I would have much preferred them to all be T8, but it's not a deal breaker for me. Being that you have a fairly neutral handle, no matter which way I hold it, it's fairly comfortable. You know, you're more likely to feel that in this pull grip. I didn't feel it. I did some harder cuts like that, and I didn't feel it. Just going to depend on your hand size and how far you wrap around it. And I guess if you wanted to do the reverse gas station knife fight grip, you could possibly do that, but it'd be a little dangerous, and I can definitely feel this in this reverse grip. Well, you got tons of internal pocketing in there, more so on the lock side, and it's usually the opposite way around, but they did whatever they could to bring the weight down on this one, I'm sure, to balance it out as much as possible. It's a chunky little guy coming in at 3.63 ounces or 102.8 grams. Your balance point is pretty good. It's right behind that troll area, so not bad at all for all of the stuff going on this handle. The lockup on my particular knife is coming in around 30 to 40% or so, not bad. And the access to that lock bar, this comes down a little bit lower. I can easily get my thumb in there. Absolutely no issue whatsoever. This thing has got a bank vault of a lockup. I mean, no movement up or down, left or right. Exactly what you want to see. And for some quick size comparisons, as you can see, it's dwarfed by the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. And it's very similar in length to the Velocity Mini Nightshade, and it's just a hair longer than the Kaiser Mini October. It's just a hair shorter than the Real Steel Vis, and it's a little longer than the Spyderco Little Native. And lastly, it's a hair shorter than the Spyderco Micro Jumbo, and it's pretty much identical in length to the Chavez Tac. Now, being that absolutely no knife's perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? I wish they would have given us a bigger sharpening choil. It's going to start to flare after the first sharpening. They could have maybe brought this plunge grind all the way back or given us a little bit bigger of a sharpening choil. Let's see. Can you cut one? Yeah, you can cut one in yourself. You have an internal stop pin, so not something you really have to worry about. While I like cool, unique things, I don't really have to have this. And I say that because without this, the action is so fidgety on this knife. You know, you don't really need anything extra, but, you know, I like that they went outside the box from the norm. And lastly, we talked about this one as well. You know, even though I thought this would be a hot spot for me, it was more this portion right here that I was feeling, because there is somewhat of a sharper spot right up in here. You can see if I do this, I can pull off that wood right there. It's not as bad as you think, but you know, when you're gripping really hard, you definitely feel this spot on one side or the other, depending on, you know, where you're squeezing it from. There's also no lefty love here. All that said, what are my final thoughts? Well, I had a predisposed inclination on the knife because of, you know, the more gimmicky little gear thing here, but after doing the testing, this thing performed great. I mean, it blew me away because I tested quite a few knives alongside this one that day. One of them was in the same steel. One of them was in a little bit better of a steel. And it did better than all of them. And it had a much shorter blade than those two. So performance, excellent. A few little things that could be fixed on it. But I think, like I said, if you pick this up on today's super early bird, I think it's like $139 if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. For that price, I definitely think it's worth it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You got a lot of titanium here. You got M390 blade that performed really well. It was nice and slicey. It's ground nice and thin. And it's got a very, very snappy action. That is definitely addictive. Yeah, it definitely surprised me. You know, I came to expect one thing and I was completely blown away by the results on it and how much I like this little knife. It's got a versatile blade. I think it's a good looking knife. You know, like I said, I don't really have to have this on there. I think it would have been a great knife without it. But I don't think it's a deal breaker with it on there. Look at all the extra machining there. I want to say you may be able to even get something lasered on the clip, but it'll be in the campaign. So if you're interested in picking up one of these, like I said, I will have it linked down below in the description. If you pick it up on July 30th, you can get in on the super early bird and get 39% off. So that's going to wrap up today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below. And I'd love to hear y'all thoughts on this. Is this something that interests you? Love to hear y'all thoughts in the comments. And I hope every single one of y'all is having a great day today. And remember, keep these blades sharp. Smile more.